Hi everybody, and welcome again to another great episode of Home Build Happiness. We're currently waking up in Tiger, Georgia, and right now we're at Stonewall Creek Vineyards. I'll give you a little glimpse of where we're at. Got a glass mountain behind me. It's just a beautiful place out here. On this leg of our trip, we're currently going from Plantation, Florida, up near Cherokee, North Carolina. And we're currently in Tiger, Georgia. And today's a short trip for us. We're going to be headed up about 30 miles into the town of Clayton, possibly as far as Franklin. So the purpose of today's video, what I would like to do is kind of show you what it's like a day of traveling in the CTC. What we look for when we wake up, what we look for along the route, and what we look for when it's time for us to shut down for this evening. So let's get started. So folks, it's currently about 9 a.m. in the morning. And there's some things when I come out to the vehicles I look for first thing in the morning before we actually take off. There's some things in the camper that we do. Let's take you through a day. Some of these things aren't going to be like your normal, like you're waking up at home. There's certain things that are RV specific, no matter if you're in a CTC, a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, or a motorhome. Let's take a look. So we currently travel in two vehicles, and one thing that I do in the morning, I always walk through and I'm looking at the tires. I want to make sure before we take off our tires are in good condition. Now I can tell just by looking at the treads on these front tires, they're not bad, but they need to be rotated. Once we get to our destination, we'll do that. Normally, if we're somewhere that's like a parking lot, and we do have accommodations that are in places that are on just concrete parking lots, I'll check all the fluids. But where we're at, I don't really think it's good form to start popping hoods right now. But I do take a look underneath the vehicle. I'm looking for any wet spots. As you can see, everything's bone dry underneath here. But I'm looking around the wheels for any brake cylinders that may have went kaput on us. I'm looking underneath for any kind of oil from any seals that may have failed. I'm looking up near the radiator, seeing if we have any coolant leaks. If you're on concrete, it's a lot easier to tell those things. Again, we're looking at tires. Now, I do have blocks underneath these rear wheels and on the driver's side, back on the trailer, and that's just used for leveling. I'm gonna look back here. I'm gonna make sure that we're hooked up correctly with our power. I keep the chains up high like that so they don't drag the ground, because when you're in like farmland and just grassy areas, ants like to get on those wires and chains and find their way up into your camper in the evening. I'm looking to make sure that all of our anchor points for our hitch are correct and they are tightened down. We don't have anything that's loose. We got to say hello to Durf in the morning.
Hi, Durfy.
And again, we're going to be looking at the tires on our camper, making sure that we don't see anything that's outside of the ordinary. As you can see, I've got the blocks back here on the wheels. Tires are in okay condition. Being on the road, pulling weight, we're going to look at the drive shaft. I'm looking up front near the pinion, and I'm looking at the back of the differential. Also looking again at those wheel cylinders. And depending on where you're camping at, you might want to take a look and make sure your catalytic converter is still attached to your vehicle. Even if you're not camping, I'm sure everybody's heard on the news about how those are a hot item. All right, let's go on in the trailer here, and I'll show you some things that we're gonna look at. Hey, Durf. Okay. We're gonna turn our lights on. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good. Cold. Cold.
So even in September, when you get up near the Carolinas, it does get pretty cold. So, folks, one thing about traveling in a rig is that everything here on the counter is subject to shift when you're moving. Once you get settled down for the night, you know, you want to kind of let loose. You might want to pull out a couple books. You have your snacks. You've also got, like, for me, I refill water bottles, because buying packs of these things get expensive, so I just buy gallon jugs of water and keep those refrigerated, and then we just refill those bottles. So you see things like that that need to get cleaned up, so we'll do that before taking off. Things like our garbage.
Make sure that our drawers are locked.
Yep, we want to make sure that our drawers are locked. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you'll see that we have this this drawer in here, and this drawer we used to have on the road with us when we van traveled. So as you see, we have a lot of places here that we've been. We're in the Rocky Mountains there. That's me at Twin Falls, Idaho, at Shoshone Falls. I believe that is in Utah. And that's me drinking a Coors, a Banquet, right outside of the Rockies. Because we all know Coors is the taste of the Rockies. And then as you see, we just have various stickers from places that we've been. We're going to be there again here in a couple days. And then when you're on the road, places, especially farm areas, oh, hi, you're gonna have flies. That's not because we're nasty or filthy. It's simply because we have a cat, and any of you that own cats know that these little gnat flies, they like to come around cats. So we have like fly paper on the windows here, and we have fly paper hanging from the roof just because of that. Folks, if you're doing Harvest Host, or if you're staying on places that have farmland and it's just a lot of grass, you're gonna be around insects. That's the life of the road. If you don't like it, probably best not to get out here. Stay closer to the KOAs and places like that. Guys, listen, here we go. So for all intents and purposes, this is pretty much what it looks like when we're ready to roll. Soaps and any small dirty dishes or anything go in the sink. It gets covered up. Anything of value gets put away. Anything that might fall or get knocked over by dirt gets put away. Lauren's stuffed critters right there stay where they're at.
Yes.
And we just make sure everything's closed up. We go to our drawers, and we just make sure that all of our locks are, yeah, like that.
Yep.
And then we're pretty much ready to roll, guys. Let's get on the road. I wanted to stop and give a little explanation on why I set this up the way I do. A lot of new RVers tend to not get this right, and dealerships don't really help that too much. So listen, here's why I do things the way I do. When you set your chains up on your rig, on any kind of trailer, you're supposed to crisscross them in this X pattern. The reason that you do that is because in the event of a failure here, if any of this becomes disconnected from the tow vehicle, the fact that it's crisscrossed like this allows these chains to cradle the tongue of this trailer. It allows a cradling to happen. Whereas if you do not have them crisscrossed like this, you don't get that. That's just an added benefit of doing it. That's recommended by the manufacturers of most trailers. Also, you have this cable right here. This is a breakaway switch, and what this switch is designed to do, it connects, I'll show you up underneath here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a box right there. There's a pin in there, and if this trailer becomes disconnected, it pulls this pin out, which is connected to a battery. That's, I think you can see it up in there. There's a little motorcycle battery that this yanks, and it activates that battery, which controls the trailer brakes on this trailer. The idea is that in the event that this trailer becomes disconnected, instead of having a runaway trailer, the brakes will come on and will stop this trailer in short order before it's able to cause any damage to other people's property, and hopefully it gives it a chance to save our property as well. A lot of folks take this cable and they attach it to where their chain is. Do not do that. The reason you want to have this cable attached to your bumper, your frame, or another part of this vehicle is because one of the ways that this hitch can fail is where it's bolted to the frame, it can break from that frame. And if you lose the entire hitch and this cable's attached to that hitch, it's not going to do its job. So attach this cable to your bumper, to your frame, anywhere structurally on this vehicle that is not part of the hitch system.
Normal down the road with us. My stomach hurts. Hey, that's sometimes true.
So guys, those of you who aren't in the know on the inside joke, there's a book that I really like, and it's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's by Robert Pirsig. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And if you listen to the audiobook version of this,
His
son Chris, while they're camping, like he has like I guess it's like a disorder of some sort, but when it acts up, he gets stomach pains, and in the audiobook he says, "My stomach pains." So because we're kind of doing our own, travel, like in that book, every time Lauren gets to not feeling good, I say,
"My stomach hurts." And most of the time that's what it is. My stomach hurts.
Just worsen things. I'm not hungry, Chris says. No one answers. My stomach hurts, he says. The explosion is avoided when Chris